March 17, 1936, 4:30 p.m. The Conemaugh River roars through downtown Johnstown, Pennsylvania, rising 6 inches every hour. Victor Heiser stands beside his Caterpillar 22 bulldozer on Franklin Street, staring at the churning brown water already 3 feet deep. 38 years old, a construction foreman for the Pennsylvania Railroad, he's just received direct orders from his superintendent. Evacuate immediately. The company's equipment is insured. Human life isn't replaceable. Get out now. Heiser doesn't move. Behind him, the Cambria Ironworks whistle screams 3 long blasts. Flood warning. Maximum danger. Across the valley, families climb to second floors, then attics, then rooftops. The water keeps rising. This is the 3rd major flood to hammer Johnstown in 47 years. In 1889, the South Fork Dam failed, killing 2,209 people in minutes. In 1936, there's no dam to break, just rain. 15 inches in 24 hours, rivers converging from 3 directions. A city built in a bowl drowning. Heiser climbs onto his bulldozer. 3,800 pounds of steel and diesel. Top speed 4 miles per hour. He doesn't head for high ground. He drives toward the water. The Conemaugh and Little Conemaugh rivers meet at Johnstown, joined by Stony Creek, 3 waterways funneling into a narrow valley. By late afternoon on March 17th, they've merged into a single muddy sea. Downtown buildings stand like islands. Water pressure shatters plate glass windows. Display mannequins float past lampposts. A grand piano drifts by, still upright, keys submerged. On Franklin Street, Heiser maneuvers his Caterpillar toward the Rosedale neighborhood, where frame houses tilt at crazy angles, walls groaning. The bulldozer's tracks churn through waist-deep current. Water sprays over the radiator. He can feel the machine wanting to lift, wanting to float. 8 tons of weight, barely enough to maintain traction. The diesel engine coughs but holds. He spots them through the rain. A family of 6 trapped on a 2nd-story balcony. The house beneath them shudders with each surge. Father holding an infant, mother gripping 2 small children, grandfather clinging to the railing, a teenager, maybe 13, frozen with fear. Heiser positions the bulldozer adjacent to the house. The water's too deep to reach them. The building's too unstable to enter. He extends the blade as high as it goes, creating a platform 3 feet above the water line. Then he does something his superintendent would call insane. He stands on the blade, balancing against the current, and waves the family across. The father goes first with the infant. 6 feet of open water between balcony and blade. He jumps. Heiser catches him, steadies him, passes him the baby, helps them onto the bulldozer's chassis. The mother comes next with both children. The jump is too far. She hesitates. Heiser leans out farther, extending his arm. She throws one child. Heiser catches the girl mid-air, then the 2nd child, then the mother leaps, her dress ballooning in the water. The grandfather and teenager remain. Behind them, the house tilts another 5 degrees. Timber cracks. The whole structure is seconds from collapse. If you want to see how Victor Heiser saved 23 people that day, please hit that like button. It helps us share more forgotten stories. Subscribe if you haven't already. Back to Franklin Street. The grandfather can't jump. Arthritis, age, fear, doesn't matter which. Heiser revs the engine, nudges the bulldozer closer. The blade scrapes the house's siding. Shingles rain into the water. He's close enough now. The teenager helps the old man over the railing, lowering him by his arms. Heiser grabs his belt, his shoulder, hauls him onto the blade. The teenager follows. 7 people cling to the bulldozer. Heiser climbs back into the driver's seat, shifts into reverse. The Caterpillar groans, tracks slipping on submerged pavement. Finally, traction. He backs away from the house just as the entire 2nd floor collapses into the current, walls folding like cardboard, roof sliding sideways. If he'd waited another minute, they'd all be debris. He doesn't stop. There are more. For the next 6 hours, Victor Heiser drives his bulldozer through flooded streets, disobeying every order his company gave him. The water reaches 5 feet in places. The engine floods twice. Each time he coaxes it back to life. He rescues a stranded policeman trying to swim against the current. An elderly woman trapped in a tree, wedding ring still on her hand, refusing to let go of a photograph album. 3 children separated from their parents perched on a floating garage roof. The Pennsylvania Railroad sends another supervisor to retrieve him. Heiser ignores the man. The superintendent threatens termination. Heiser waves him off and drives toward another house where he spotted movement in an upper window. The company wants their equipment safe. Heiser wants people alive. There's no conversation to be had by 10 p.m. The water begins to recede. Heiser has made 23 confirmed rescues. Some reports say 26, others say 31. Record keeping during a disaster is imperfect. What's certain, not a single person he pulled from the water died. Not the infant, not the grandfather, not the woman with the photograph album. When he finally parks the bulldozer on high ground near the Pennsylvania Railroad depot, the machine is battered. Blade bent, engine caked with mud, hydraulic lines leaking. Insurance adjusters will later calculate $847 in damage. Heiser climbs down, legs shaking from exhaustion. His superintendent is waiting. "You're fired," the man says. Heiser nods. "I know." But he isn't fired, not really. Word of his actions spreads through Johnstown faster than the floodwater receded. The families he saved tell their neighbors. Newspapers pick up the story. By March 19th, Victor Heiser is front-page news across Pennsylvania. Bulldozer hero defies orders to save lives. The Pennsylvania Railroad faces a public relations nightmare if they follow through on termination. They quietly drop the matter. The 1936 flood kills 25 people in Johnstown. By comparison, the 1889 flood killed over 2,000. Better warning systems, better evacuation procedures, better heroes like Heiser make the difference. But 25 is still 25. 25 families destroyed. 25 funerals. Property damage exceeds $41 million in 1936 currency. Hundreds of homes are total losses. The Cambria Ironworks shuts down for 3 weeks. Heiser returns to work the following month. No promotion, no bonus, no official recognition from the company, just his regular foreman position, same pay, same bulldozer, repaired and returned to service. He doesn't complain, doesn't give interviews. When reporters approach him, he shrugs and says he did what anyone would do, which is demonstrably false. Dozens of equipment operators evacuated that day. Only Heiser stayed. His co-workers know, the families know, the difference between a man who follows orders and a man who follows his conscience. Between company property and human life. Between what's permitted and what's right. In the years following 1936, Johnstown implements comprehensive flood control measures. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers constructs concrete line channels. They remove the debris dams that formed at bridges. They widen Stony Creek. They build reservoirs upstream to absorb excess rainfall. These engineering solutions cost millions. They save thousands. But on March 17, 1936, before any of those projects existed, one man with one bulldozer made the difference. Victor Heiser never sought fame. He worked for the Pennsylvania Railroad until his retirement in 1958. He died in 1963 at age 65. His obituary mentioned the flood rescue in the final paragraph, almost as an afterthought. No monuments bear his name, no streets, no plaques. Most history books about the 1936 flood focus on the meteorological data, the engineering failures, the government response. But in Johnstown, the families remember. Descendants of the people Heiser saved still live in the valley. The infant he caught in midair grew up, served in World War II, became a teacher. The grandfather lived another 11 years. The woman with the photograph album preserved those images, passed them to her children, her grandchildren. Lives continued because one man disobeyed orders. There's a lesson in that. Not about heroism. Heroism is too grand a word, too clean. Heiser would reject it. This is about a simpler calculation. When the water's rising and people are drowning and someone in an office tells you to protect the equipment, what do? Follow procedure or follow conscience? Heiser made his choice in 4 seconds, the time it took to climb onto his bulldozer and drive toward the water instead of away from it. No deliberation, no moral philosophy, just action. March 17, 1936. A day Johnstown would rather forget but can't. The water rose too high, took too much, but it also revealed character. Victor Heiser, construction foreman, 38 years old, 8 tons of bulldozer between him and oblivion, choosing people over policy every single time. The Caterpillar 22 he drove that day was eventually scrapped in 1951, worn out from 15 years of railroad work. No one thought to preserve it. No museum wanted it. Just another piece of equipment. But for 6 hours on a March evening, it was a lifeboat, and the man at the controls understood that machinery serves humans, not the other way around. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe. Your support helps us preserve these histories. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. The water receded, the equipment was repaired, the company returned to normal operations. But 23 people went home that night who otherwise wouldn't have. That's not metaphor. That's math. Simple, undeniable, worth remembering. Victor Heiser disobeyed orders and saved a town. Or at least saved 23 pieces of it. Which is everything to those 23 and everyone they loved and everyone those people would go on to love. Ripples in time spreading outward from one decision, one bulldozer, one man who refused to leave.